Hey, everybody, welcome to the SideQuest Live, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games, video game culture, and we the geeks who like such things. I am one of your hosts, Dolly Domofsky. Hello, it's me. Hi, it's me. This person right here, Taylor Bliss. I don't know if he's frozen or just faking it.
I'm not.
You got me. You son of a gun.
I did it. I didn't even turn on the eye contact in video broadcast.
How you doing, Taylor?
I'm tired.
Dude, I know it. So it's going to be a nice, fun, quick episode tonight. By quick, I mean we're going to try to keep it under like 4 hours. We don't have anybody. It doesn't look like anybody else is here.
You have 30 minutes.
Oh, perfect. I like 30 minutes. Thankfully, there's not a lot going on this week.
News has been slow.
News has been slow. We're all kind of there's lead up to.
I mean, I guess if we want to talk about flops, and
I was going to talk about that. Go ahead.
I guess that's worth talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Redfall came out. Embargo was up until release. Always the classic bad sign.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not sound like that game is very good. Most people don't think it's good, and Microsoft has a huge problem on their hands.
A very huge problem. Right now the Metacritic is 62, which it's an Arcane game. Right, the user score is 2.4, which is
I mean, like user score nowadays on release day is like basically useless for most releases. So even if that was higher, I mean, you can kind of mix the two together.
Sure.
But user score, it's really easy for games to get review bombed for various reasons. So user scores is kind of like take it with a grain of salt.
Completely agree.
But yeah, I mean, like 62. Which is not inherent, like
Punctified.
Which is not like for a AAA game, we're going to call it bad, right? You're going to miss expectations if you release a game that had the PR headwind that this one was given, and this is the result. It's going to be deemed not a success most of the time. It's also just like a huge disappointment for. I mean, Arcane has a pedigree. Deathloop was 2 years ago.
Like 2 years ago,
just came out.
By the way,
and it's not really the game and the caliber that you expect from that studio. And Microsoft had a very short list of first-party games, first-party exclusives that it was going to kind of rely on, and this was in that list.
Sure. Yep.
So it's not good. It's not good. And they're now in a pickle.
They are in a pickle. So I'm going to preface that a little bit or add some context. I wonder how much of the decision for this game was Microsoft and Xbox saying we want sort of a more co-op type thing, because Starfield's going to be this big heavy hitter single player game from Bethesda, and how much of it I'd actually read a little bit that some of the stuff behind Redfall they had been working on for a little while already on other projects, never kind of made its way through. Some aspects actually, I guess some stuff actually got into things like Deathloop, but Redfall was incorporated some things that they really wanted to.
Yeah, did it make it to the pitch room floor? And Microsoft sound like the sound of something that could transfer or translate into some level of games as a service.
Right.
Sony was obviously big talking about it, and Microsoft was like, maybe we want some of that. Obviously this is all speculation. You're talking about actual things that people said, and I'm talking about speculation based on kind of industry trends, but. I mean, you got to certainly think that something happened. Things got weird here because a big studio within their parent publisher, things don't turn out like this if everything goes well.
Yeah, they're pretty much. I've loved everything that Arcane, just about everything that Arcane has put out has been the highest quality, right? And this seems
and also like recognizable but
Yeah.
unique, is the way that I would describe a lot of their games. You recognize what a first person shooter game is, but then it's different.
Hmm.
It started to have the moniker of, it had an arcane twist to it. And this is not that. But, you could also argue, and a couple of people said in the Discord, was Arcane the right studio for this game? Obviously the ideas came
Sure.
from them.
Sure.
I wonder if things are falling back into old Microsoft style. So back when, before they were a big gaming company, even on non-competing teams that would theoretically be working together. Think of Microsoft Office for Windows and Microsoft Office for Mac. They would effectively be pit against each other to try and one up the other to do and produce a better product.
Sure.
When in reality, a normal person not within that company would be like, well, they're trying to make a cohesive product. They should probably just work together and make one that is the same across both, right? Because that is what a normal person would think. And I wonder, are similar things starting to happen within the games division? They've acquired a lot of studios. Is Microsoft either doing it on purpose or unwillingly saying pitches stay within their studios? Is it that weird mix of like too much autonomy or not enough autonomy, right? Because as the owner of the games that are going to get produced, if Arcane pitches an IP or an idea for an IP, and you're like, this is a cool idea, but you guys are really good at a thing and this isn't it, but we have another studio that is, either put them in, like, I don't know, share those resources. I don't know, like it's a really tough quandary to me, because like they are distinct companies that, I mean, they're subsidiaries, but they're distinct. You can't, some people are going to be like, why don't I just move it around, give the people to others? They're all Microsoft. It's not.
Well, I think I'm going to throw this in as well. Games are becoming so freaking complex right now with multiple engines that they're dealing with. There's a lot of server backend stuff, especially for these live service games, multiplayer games. There are
I don't know. I've read the Sony what Sony has put together about their class act, or about their injunction against Microsoft, and the Microsoft has Azure, so it's actually pretty much one and done.
Yeah,
that's it. They've got it all. So
they've got it all. But I mean, and I think. Back to kind of my thought on that was what, sorry, before I get to is that we're seeing, and this is more about sort of the overall industry story. We're seeing a lot of games getting delayed. We're seeing a lot of games having launch issues. This game has, it's not just the design of this game or the overall like general direction of the game. There are so many bugs, and I mean, again, the joke is it wouldn't be a Bethesda game if it didn't have issues and bugs. There are so many issues with this game that things are, I think somebody mentioned that it was crashing or hanging up on the title screen when the logo was starting up, which is never a good sign for Arcane. But it's those kind of ground level issues, and you're seeing that a lot in games. You're seeing games get postponed and delayed. We just saw that with Kill the Justice League. We see that all, Starfield got delayed several times. Obviously, Cyberpunk had all sorts of issues when that launched, and it's taken 3 years for that now to finally be the game that we all sort of thought it was going to be. And so, as games get bigger, as they're like, again, I'm saying it more for these AAA games. As these AAA games get bigger, and you have, there's an aspect where the shareholders on a lot of these companies say, you got to give us your timeline for when games are going to be released. And Microsoft kept putting out, like a company like Microsoft, which is, they're very beholden, I don't even know the correct word, tied to their shareholders. They have to get those stock notes out every time they have a thing. They're okay. And in the Xbox div, Satya Nadella goes out there and says, in the Xbox division, we have 3 big games coming out this quarter. We have Redfall, we have Starfield, we have Forza in the works. And those games are they can get delayed. Like we saw both of these games get delayed out of last year to this year. So Sony does it a little bit differently. I mean, I don't.
Well,
I hate to balance these
Sony
things
has to
too.
do it differently because
They
they're a
have
different
to do it
company.
differently. Exactly. Yeah. It's just
The
I'm seeing it over and over that the more complex these games are getting, the more difficult it is to produce a product that is on point. That is
and
hitting the
like
butts
you certainly begin to
for a
wonder,
variety of reasons.
does Microsoft size and scope is
Maybe.
that the differentiating factor?
Maybe.
Sony's more focused.
Yeah.
Sony, yes, has an electronics company.
But they're completely separate from
Yeah, I mean, like I promise that Sony Entertainment operates with a significant larger amount of autonomy,
yeah.
by comparison. But like to your point about shareholder stuff, like I would guess that Xbox effectively, for the most part, runs pretty independently.
Okay. I'd hope.
Think about like this, the sheer scale alone puts most of the stuff that we're talking about as footnotes of Microsoft.
Yeah. Redfall is not a big deal for them.
It's really not. I wish that I had stats on it, but I'm like, pull up ZeniMax. ZeniMax's equity, this is outdated, of course. This is 2.5 bill in 2016. So this is obviously larger. That's 7 years ago.
Sure.
Even if it's double that, even if it's, we're talking about equity, not revenue, not etc. 5 billion is like a quarter revenue for just a portion of Azure for Microsoft. Like they're not on the same playing field. So when we're talking about not just ZeniMax as a whole, we're talking about a game made by a studio which is a subsidiary of sorry, I'm watching one of the worst plays of baseball to my left. That caught my eye. It was very bad.
Which
by
game?
The Yankees, unfortunately.
Lovely.
That was very distracting because it was a very bad play. But yeah, I mean, like the effect of one game made by a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a subsidiary. I mean, of course, it's important to like it's something that would be included in a shareholder call, but like it's just more of a footnote than it would be for other companies.
Correct. And I think this is where we're going to lead into kind of this next part in that Microsoft needs a W, man. Hi-Fi Rush is a terrific game.
This is what's interesting. This is the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, again, we're talking about ZeniMax, the owner of both Arcane and also the owner of Tango Gameworks.
Yeah. And
both of these, I mean, we can't call either one of them true W's in terms of the same scope as Sony having exclusive rights to Final Fantasy 16 dropping next month, or the fact that they dropped I'll say 2 highly successful first party games this year. But I mean, Tango Gameworks is made by came from the same umbrella.
Yeah.
And most people are going to consider that a very good game.
Yeah. It's a terrific game.
So it's not an issue of whether or not you're under ZeniMax. Something went wrong.
Something went wrong.
But now when we go back to the other part of like of Microsoft is in trouble and needs a win, there's not really much in sight.
So they went right away. So I'm gonna
they're playing damage control. They knew.
Let me backtrack real quick. So they things started to get a little kind of tense. Actually, things started with the Activision Blizzard acquisition notes last year, right, or whenever it was. There was that lawsuit litigation kept going back and forth, Sony and Xbox, and then they, you started to see some wins here and there. There was the Xbox is going to put Call of Duty on Nintendo. That's kind of cool news for Nintendo fans. But I think the first time I really saw something, a glitch in the system, was in December when people said, why wasn't there anything at the Game Awards? There was nothing at the Game Awards from Microsoft. And typically, you're going to have a lot of games from Microsoft. Or you're going to have something from Microsoft at an award show like that. Phil Spencer's going to try it out there, Reggie, whatever. But they didn't have anything. And the then they had their own developer. They said, hold on, we're gonna show you. Aaron Greenberg came out and said there's still something coming, and then boom, they had their kind of indie developer direct thing, which is cool. And they debuted Hi-Fi Rush, and it went out there, and people said, okay, this is really cool, but they didn't follow it up with anything. And you get Redfall, and now the damage control today,
and
the
there's
day
gonna be
after,
a huge, it's huge summer drought now. There's not going to be a single game. It's going to be PR.
Yep.
Over the summer, and that's it. I mean, maybe we'll get a couple neat trailers. Honest to God, they need Silksong really bad.
They need Silksong so bad.
And they need to lean into it.
They're probably throwing a lot of money at Team Cherry and saying,
Team Cherry, please, fucking God,
money, resources. We got to get this game up on ASAP.
Honestly, that game failing in any capacity would be an incredible blow. So like Game Pass had really strong headwinds at the start.
Yeah. As it was understood why. Yeah.
Right. And it is floundering at the moment. Or at least in my opinion, the value of it is beginning to wear.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to guess, the broad scope, and this is my pie in the, I mean, I'm not going to call it pie in the sky because it's not a dream. This is my uninformed take of the general state of things, which is ZeniMax was acquired late 2020.
Yeah.
Middle of COVID.
Yep.
And what probably happened is that it was done very roughly. I don't want to necessarily say poorly. The results, I think, are poor. But I'm not going to necessarily say that the process was inherently poor. But whatever happened as part of that has worsened things significantly. Sony running a tighter ship. The shift over COVID was less noticeable. By the time that acquisition happened, and, like, who knows what happened where it was ZeniMax comes in, becomes a part of Microsoft, VPs or whoever are like talking to Xbox Game Studios and
strategy.
They're talking to ZeniMax and so like show me all the games that I care about. You're gonna keep working on whatever. I know you got Starfall. I know you got Elder Scrolls 6, whatever. Show me the games that I care about that we're gonna release in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. And Redfall was one of them. And they're like, okay, we're gonna PR this one, and then. But by then, how many years it had already been worked on?
Right.
And starting from that point, they had 2.5 years to finish it.
Yeah.
And so
there's a rush. There's a rush.
Yeah, I mean, so it was probably a misplay on picking that game.
And you're probably, it's a great point because you're probably starting to move things over to Microsoft basis.
Right. Yeah. I mean, was that all of a sudden a shift where they were working on multiplayer stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, now you have to leverage Azure for back end, et cetera, et cetera. So, realistically, I'm making fun of myself who made the argument 20 minutes ago, or actually, oh wow, we're not even 20 minutes in. That's great. That's a great sign.
It's a great sign
because I feel like I've talked a lot. But
you have. That's okay.
Yeah, I know. But the idea. I made fun of myself and I forgot it. What was I talking about? My wife's laughing at me. Thank you.
You mentioned the COVID 2020.
Yeah, I know. I forget what my earlier point about with the issues with Arcane, but something clearly went wrong. I don't think it was necessarily Microsoft. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, can we really say that it was a Microsoft influence? I don't think so. I think it was probably something that existed beforehand.
Sure.
Maybe the transition into Microsoft exacerbated it. Impossible to really say unless somebody comes out and leaks internal documents. Don't see that happening. They're leaning really, really heavily into ZeniMax for almost everything right now. A lot of the other studios under Xbox Game Studios don't produce the types of games that people have associated with big
Yeah.
budget stuff on PlayStation. So, the Final Fantasy 16 deal is a huge, like, Sony is going to court that partnership with Square Enix for as long as humanly possible.
They're gonna ride that
because it is literally producing the feeling that they are exclusives. Even though time has shown that the games are going to escape and come over, the true feeling is like, for people that want to play Final Fantasy 16, you have to buy a PlayStation 5. That is the true feeling, at least in my opinion, that's out there in the field. So, Microsoft, if they can't produce games, and like I said, I think that if you look at the developers that are in Xbox Game Studios, and the games that are on the docket, there's not that many of them. They need exclusive third parties.
Exactly.
They have to.
They have to. And I think that, they're going to have to try to figure that out very quickly here, because of whatever happens with the purchase of Activision Blizzard. We don't know, but
they're playing a lot of long games right now.
Yes, they are. There's a lot of long game happening. They reaffirmed today, and they made a big deal about it.
I know. I saw this going around, and I knew that we were going to talk about it. I knew we were going to talk about it.
I mean, I'm really just bringing it out there. Putting it out there quickly, because they had to say something about, because people were starting to, you mentioned it earlier, people were starting to say, wait, there's only Starfield, and that's September, and I guess Forza's coming out this year, and that's it. What else do we have to look forward to? So they came out today and said, forget that game that just released. Guess what?
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Xbox Games Showcase, Starfield Direct, the game you're all looking for. By the way, the amount of hype and PR behind Starfield, this game better.
Well, they have to now. They basically have to double. They have to double or nothing on Starfield. They don't really have a choice. Yep. The reality is that anything that could make as much waves as they would need, they would have already been talking about. It's nothing that is going to be shown at the Xbox Games Showcase. Perfectly plausible that there's something that's going to be a surprise hit, but surprise hits aren't going to cut it when it comes to what is missing in the gap for Xbox.
I completely agree, and I pulled this in real quick because I remember how much I would get excited for the Xbox Showcase, like maybe more than any other showcase over the years. The Xbox Showcase was something that because it kept creeping up in length. Like it started off at like 1 hour, then it's like 2 hours, then it feels like a whole day because they do the extended showcases the other days. And I thought, man, this is the one I really look forward to. I mean, they're gonna show Gears, they're gonna show Halo, blah, blah, blah. They always, you always get excited for that. And this year they're gonna show Gears. They'll probably mention something Halo. Who knows what that is? But they're not gonna talk anything Starfield. So they do have those the first party games that they're gonna have to talk about, all the stuff they're working on. That's kind of the PR that they posted for this. Is you're gonna hear more about all the first party games that we've already kind of mentioned in the past, but now for real, we're really gonna talk about them. Maybe we'll see in the Indiana Jones something about that. I don't know.
When was the last time that Xbox had a timed third party exclusive?
I don't know.
I think that's part of their problem.
I
mean, it's fine. It's fine that there's never going to be a third. I would be perfectly okay with there's never going to be another third party permanent exclusive game, right? Yeah. I personally don't really care. My main focus is PC games anyway, right? Sure. But I think from a business perspective, I also don't think that there's ever going to be another permanent third party. Well, I don't want to say never. They are going to continue to diminish. If not go away entirely.
Think of, you look at the games that were kind of indicative of being on Xbox. Madden, Call of Duty. These are third party games. Call of Duty. Almost all the sports games except for FIFA, I think, and even FIFA.
Yeah, I mean the 360 dominated this.
Assassin's Creed dominated. you had these games that were third-party games. I think even Gears of War initially was a third-party game, right? It was like Epic Games or something, and until they bought the license, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I mean that was like game time stuff. It never came out on anything else,
right? But they back then went for creators instead of companies. And you had these creators developing games, like people that were either within the game industry or adjacent to the game industry, developing games for Xbox, and it was a blast. And I think back to the 360. And that was probably my favorite era of gaming was the 360. It was so good because you had Xbox Live Arcade, right? Xbox Live Arcade. I mean, there are more games coming out now than there were.
I know, it felt so different.
But it felt so different because everything back then felt like it was
all of a sudden you would be like, it would be the middle of the summer and be like, we're gonna release a bunch of cheap games that are still going to be good.
Arcade, baby. I love Summer of Arcade. It was just that Xbox did a phenomenal job of,
they were all ahead of the industry in that regard. Ahead of the industry.
They were creating the conversation, supporting the conversation, supporting the community. I mean, even something as stupid as like the avatars, the Xbox avatars. Like people were all about those stupid things, and that's disappeared, right? So, 1 versus 100. 1 versus 100 was a appointment gaming for me.
I can't believe that they never brought it back, to be honest.
It's been, 12 years? I don't even know. Every Tuesday or Thursday, whatever day it was, I would dress up my avatar. We were talking about this with a couple folks. We would dress up our avatars and hop on, and I think Punctified even mentioned it. We'd hop on and start playing because you wanted your avatar, just in case that one time you would be called upon to join that 100. And so
I wonder, was it just like, there's no way that the license was that expensive to not.
I mean, they could come up with their own. They don't even need that anymore. They just come up with your own new game, man.
It's these things are such mental zeitgeist at this point that you can't just make your own thing. Like it will never be the same. But if they used literally the words 1 versus 100 is too important to not reuse it. But anyway, we're talking about hypotheticals, which are like way powered.
They did a great job of, I mean, even the way that the Xbox dashboard back then was organized, like you would log on. It's okay. I'm going to the Xbox Live Arcade slide. I'm going to the, the movies slide or whatever. And now everything is sort of, because of the way user interfaces are these days, everything is just jumbled. And everything. It's not just Xbox, it's all of them.
No, they're all bad.
They're all bad. But, I miss those days because, granted, more people are buying consoles today than were back then.
Than ever before.
And I still look at that era so fondly because everything just felt like everything felt bespoke. Like this was an experience for me as a gamer, and it's not right now. It's not.
So let's look at it this way. So we just established what we think are the problems, what that Microsoft is going to run into, what they currently have. We talked about last week.
Give them all these ideas, man.
I know, yeah. We talked about last week, the week before.
Yeah.
Slumping console sales.
Yeah.
Is there a way out? And
I think so. Does
the streaming service stick device do it? I don't think it does at this point.
That does. No, that doesn't do it. To be honest though, I think that is at least going to get people who don't have the there you go. Punctified. All I wanted was, I'm telling you, man, that was it.
Listen, I'm just saying it is worth the money for the license for 1 versus 100. There are, I don't know, like even maybe I'm in the bubble. I don't know, but I feel like you bring that back and there is a reverberation effect that gets people are like, wait, is this the thing? And then like it's like it could be
right.
Xbox's Wordle. I mean, as silly as it is to put it that way, but like Wordle was such a movement behind it for a brief period of time. And it's the kind of thing where you need, what Microsoft needs more than anything else, again, to sell consoles is a foot in the door. That like, what is the thing that I buy an Xbox console for other than to play, because we've already established the exclusives aren't there
so
to do it.
yeah, I think you bring it up, and 1 vs 100 was included in your Xbox Live membership. Like I got an Xbox Live Gold membership back then for 1 vs 100, not for playing online. It was this extra thing. Now, I will say a company like Nintendo, which we love to rip on Nintendo, but they actually know, at least when they were like Tetris 99,
Yeah.
Pac-Man 99, Mario 35, those things are actually not necessarily appointment viewing, but those things are these little experiences that whatever, they're so casual and anybody can play those, and that's what 1 vs 100 was.
Right. Exactly.
It was sort of the predecessor to all the stuff that Nintendo and other companies are doing. And if Xbox had those experiences, I think that is a way to at least get people really interested again in their kind of service side. And having a stick is now here things that are holding Xbox back not being on this. Because you look at some of the fun stuff that
How do you mean?
Xbox. Well, if you could interface with Xbox stuff on this, if you could play 1 vs 100 on your phone or some version of that, and then, but you can only play it on your phone if you have the Xbox membership, and then you can play the other stuff, online. Hey, how's it going, Tony? Welcome. Then you could. Hey, thanks, Tony. Yeah, it's fun. I'm looking forward to that game. Oh, it's such a good time. You can really get people to you're taking your Xbox with you when you have a device that has, and Microsoft, I think, is the one company that can pull that off. I mean, you get the Xbox app in there, play games, do stuff, but again, only if you're part of that ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess maybe that is what is missing, is the fact that
I want my mom to be an Xbox subscriber because she plays whatever the Xbox Wordle is. There's
it's funny to think about
100.
To go back to the launch and the launch times of the Xbox One, when it was billed as this supreme multimedia device, which obviously didn't work out for various reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of was initially when there was nothing else out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we're talking about the early days of, well, I guess not quite early days of Blu-ray support, but for Microsoft it was. But put your pass your cable box through it and let your Xbox, be your main media center and stuff like that. It didn't work out perfectly, but the evolution of that idea, I think, is transitioning it into the smartphone era and what you're describing.
Yeah.
But there are no unique experiences that it occupies.
Yes.
And hosts within itself. So it kind of diluted into this. Here's the Microsoft thing that you buy to play the Microsoft games.
Yep.
And I don't think that's
and
good.
So
again, if they want to dive into services only or services first, that's fine.
That's fine.
But you need something more than just playing those games as the service.
So what I'm kind of leading into is Microsoft still having issues, obviously, with Apple. I think that will end up getting resolved. I know Apple just won their court case against Epic, but I think eventually stuff will get resolved. Apple actually needs to allow, I think, the EU at some point next year, 2024, where you will be allowed to sideload other app stores, other things on there, which would be a huge. It's a huge step. It's not the win because. My mom's not going to sideload a new OS on there.
No, she will not.
But no, she will not. Trust me, you don't know mom. But you better not know my mom. But she's very nice lady. But it's a step. If Microsoft and Apple can work out a deal, Microsoft and Google can work out a deal where the Xbox app maybe it's not the game playing stuff. Like maybe you're not playing Halo specifically on there, but maybe you can access stuff that you have been able to. And then I also Tink. This coffee's kicking in right now. I'm getting jittery in a good way. I also believe that Microsoft has to get in onto these boxes for Game Pass, right? So they're already on some TVs, maybe the newest of the new TVs, but those newest of the new TVs have atrocious user interfaces. That's why, again, everybody keeps going back to their Apple TVs and their Rokus, right? And then maybe there's a couple other things that are out there. Your Google Chrome. Yeah, I mean, the Xbox console is a fantastic console.
I mean, the biggest issue isn't the fact that they don't have the variety. The biggest issue is that they can't capitalize on it.
Exactly.
So part of it's a marketing problem. We discussed the issue of Xbox Series S versus X, and how that probably overall drove down demand by not having.
You need to really separate the.
We have an issue of perception, right? And, you know, it's one thing when you release a pro model after the fact. I don't want to rehash too much that we already discussed, but it's one thing when you release a pro model after the fact, partway through the cycle. It's another thing when you say, here's our weaker console or here's the better console. It sounds good because you have a lower SKU. You're like, we're going to sell more consoles because it's cheaper and it's, you know, PS5 is so much. How about the Xbox Series S? I mean, I also have a 1S. I don't have a Series console at all.
I had the Xbox One until last year when I got the Series X. My OG one, my launch one.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not the target demographic, right? Because I'm never going to buy a PS5. I haven't bought a current gen console since like.
The Switch is your most current gen console.
Yeah, exactly. The Switch, and I still waited 2 years to buy that one. But my I guess where I was going with it is that, you know, they're already in that predicament, which is that PS5, it's a perception problem. PS5 is viewed as premier. It's viewed as sought after, that it had a reverberating effect where it was hard to find, and so that was a positive feedback loop. And Xbox never had that problem. They always had. The
Series S was so easy to find. You know,
the Series S was everywhere, and it was cheap. And it was like
developers hated it.
And developers didn't want to support it, which is why they didn't release many PC ports either. Thanks, developers. Always appreciate that. But anyway, we're getting stuck on it. So
I'm just gonna say, you know, we keep saying it, and I know Phil.
One day it's gonna keep being true.
It's gonna keep it true, Phil. I know you watch this podcast, this show every week. Thank you for that, by the way. See you in LA in a few weeks. You need the Series X just to be the Xbox Pro. Make it just call it the Xbox. Forget like trying to divide it, and then make the Series S. Get rid of that one and just make a streaming stick. Actually, go really affordable for the. And I
think that's kind of what we settled on when we were talking about it last time, right? Which is that the S shouldn't exist. It should be the Series X, and a streaming option, and then the Pro is going to come out whenever.
And give me an Xbox Series X without a disk drive, and let me buy a separate disk drive if I need.
Right. If you're going to release two SKUs, save 25, save $50 on disk or on a disk slot versus not. You can have a slimmer version. You know, whatever. I mean, there's multiple ways to do different SKUs. I don't think doing multiple chipset differences.
No, you can't.
On release will ever be repeated. No. I would be surprised. I would be very surprised. Although maybe, who knows? Maybe it's going to come full circle, and Sony next gen is going to be like, listen, Microsoft effed it up, but
they had a good idea going.
Got it. We've got the secret sauce. We know what we're doing. Here we're going to release a handheld again.
And they are right. The controller. Now, if there's ever a company that can pull this kind of stuff off, it is Microsoft, because they understand that back end. And, you know, if
it's actually because they have a lot of money.
They have there you go.
That's actually is that they have an incredible amount of money.
So there you go. So I mean, can it be turned around? Totally. It's going to take repositioning of some things and kind of understanding of some of their basics, and then the long-term stuff. Don't play the long game, because people don't look at the long game anymore. They're really looking at why do you want me to buy a console or invest in game? Because we know people in our own, like Zach mentioned it, and even I've let my Game Pass Ultimate lapse until something comes out, and then I start it back up. And it's like,
so I mean, I think that for on the one hand, yes. I mean, it's tough because I think that Microsoft has been forced into a long game. I think that when you spend $7.5 billion acquiring a place like ZeniMax, and like I said, we're not even done, they're not even done acquiring Activision Blizzard, if that even goes through.
Yeah.
So
they're relying
they're
much.
already in a long game. The fact that they were managed to flip Starfield into a exclusive was a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to do it in such a short amount of time is a pretty big win for them. But they're already in a long game because of that. I mean, like, I think that Redfall is an indication of the fact that they're in a long game playbook, because I mean, they let it happen. They didn't cancel it. They let it come. They let it go through. And I mean, I think you'll take your ups and downs about whether or not that was the right choice. It might not have been. But
it's the perfect Game Pass game.
Is it though? I actually don't think it.
That's what
I don't think it is.
Review said
I mean, I saw those reviews come through too.
Good enough.
But I actually question whether or not it's the perfect Game Pass game.
Well, whatever it is,
because I think it actually diminishes the overall reputation of what Game Pass is and what it's there for. But I mean, they're playing the long game. I would almost say that if they're not looking at, here's what our plan is for the pro model of series, that they're already at, like, we have ZeniMax, going after Activision Blizzard. Here is the game plan for the next console generation and what it's going to look like. Like, it very could be at that level of scope.
Is not coming out for the Xbox Series X. If it does, it's going to be way in, because they're just in the pre-production phase of Elder Scrolls. We know how long that crap takes to make.
We'll see. I'll put it that way. We'll see. What games are we excited for?
Starfield and Forza for me from Xbox. I mean, I don't know.
My hopes are
anything else.
My hopes are about as low as it gets when it comes to for Starfield, if you want me to be perfectly honest.
I mean, unfortunately I'm in that boat, but I'm still excited because it's like Fallout in space is all I can. That's kind of what.
Yeah, I'm excited for whenever this winter comes around and Final Fantasy 16 comes out for PC. That's what I'm excited for.
I mean, Zelda comes out next week. We're all gonna be.
I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, I figured we were looking for a little bit further out than that.
We to be honest, really, the only two games we know about that are the second half of this year at all are Starfield and Forza. So Microsoft kind of ahead of the game at that point because nobody else has announced anything. We kind of know Spider-Man 2 is supposed to come out this fall, but they keep saying fiscal year, but early, so who knows?
You can almost guarantee. Sorry, I'm replying to Tony's last comment there, but you can almost count on Forza coming to cloud. Almost immediately. If it's not day and date, I'd be surprised.
I don't have enough for the.
I mean, and that's listen. You're the kind of person, or you're kind of the kind of customer that Microsoft's trying to court as far as Game Pass is concerned. Then that's a common reality. There's plenty of people that do. They just need to keep making the justification for it.
Sell me the streaming stick that's just
with
the controller, and that's it. It's it's self-contained. You don't need to put any other apps on there.
I've shifted my expectation to holiday 23. As far as this device coming out, it was originally going to be holiday 22. I don't know. COVID messed up so much stuff for so long. It's almost impossible to figure it out. New Nintendo Switch was supposed to come out 3 years ago.
Yeah, and we don't even know when it's coming out. Maybe it'll be announced tomorrow.
Maybe.
For all we know.
I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about what we've been playing. We've been talking about Microsoft for.
I have this thing, by the way. I still have not opened it yet. I
saw you post that you got it.
I got it with a bunch of trades. I traded in a bunch of crap to be able to afford it, which sucks because you're always we're getting into the stuff we're playing right now. Great news bite. Hopefully we'll have like something else to talk about soon.
Yeah, we turned one news bite into 45 minutes of conversation about the future of Xbox. I was going to talk
about the was it the Gran Turismo trailer? But that movie looks horrible, so I'm not even going to bother talking about that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, it looks formulaic. Unfortunately, whatever. Anyways, games that we're playing Right now, I am still playing Doom Eternal and kind of chipping away at that. I'm about halfway done. My goal is to have that completed, hoping by this weekend, definitely before Zelda. That's Doom Eternal. That's my May game. So again, I'm on this one game a month, so that's gonna have to take it because you know tomorrow is Star Wars Day. I do want to pick up May the Fourth be with you. I do want to play Fall. Was it the newest Jedi game? I forget the name of
Fallen
it.
Order.
Is Fallen Order the newest one? Okay, everyone, that's getting great reviews. It's the best Star Wars stuff.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Doom Eternal again. Just kind of plucking through that. And there's a couple indies that I'm playing here and there on different stuff. I'm still playing Cassette Beasts on. Dude, I got to get that review up because that game is that's just it's just an awesome, wonderful, wholesome game that I think people need to play. Jedi Survivor. Fallen Order was the other one.
Fallen Order was the first one.
Cassette Beast is great, and I'm just having fun merging beasts, which is like it's the
happy
Neanderthal. It's a happy feeling that kind of gets me going. But yeah, not much on my end besides that stuff, just chipping away at things. What about you?
I'm still playing. It's all Skyward Sword all the time, nice. Which is about how much time it takes to beat the game. So
yeah. it's too big, man.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's what's weird is that the bigness isn't justified in the way that it is in Breath of the Wild. Again, Skyward. I mentioned it last time, but Skyward Sword is ever the intermediary game.
Yes,
it very much is the preliminary ideas that eventually coalesced into Breath of the Wild, and it shows in many capacities. But your sword doesn't break, and it's really good.
That's really good. That's really good.
A lot of but your shield does, and that's really bad. One thing is that there's this whole upgrade thing where you can like upgrade almost every item and major item that you get, and that's fine. But like they don't give you that many of the items that you need to upgrade, and like the game is not. I don't find it like exceedingly difficult, where I'm like I need to upgrade those things to beat the content that I'm playing, and it just kind of feels very odd. Of like, why is it here? Why does it require so many resources to do it? Why are the drop rates so low to get those items? I don't know. The pacing on the upgrade stuff feels very, very wonky.
Sure.
Maybe I'm just like that much earlier into the game than I think that I am.
You're only at hour 100 of the 800
I mean, that would be really, really sad if that was the case.
Put it aside before next week. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, there's almost no shot that I beat Skyward Sword before Tears of the Kingdom.
They gave that. They put that game out for folks. I remember when the reviews were first going out for the original Skyward Sword on the Wii. People had a couple weeks to review it, and folks were still. There were a lot of reviews that were late because they just could not.
Yeah, Matt, it's so funny. It's like the Elden Ring of the day, where they only give people 2 weeks to beat Elden Ring, or 1 week, whatever, however long it was. But yeah, I mean, I just remember it because I think it was Griffin was the one who reviewed it for Joystick.
Skyward Sword,
because he was the Zelda boy for Joystick.
Justin was reviewing Skyrim.
Jesus Christ.
The old Joystick.
And there were a lot of mixed reviews when Skyward Sword dropped.
Oh yeah, we gave a mixed review on SideQuest thing. We were like,
but Griffin's was very positive because it's like I like Zelda. But yeah, I mean it is a very, very long game. And so yeah, I mean, hold on. What's my
what time are you at right now?
So I'm curious. What is my current?
While you're looking up, speaking of Zelda,
yeah, please.
The Crypt of the Necrodancer, the Zelda Cadence of Hyrule is a free trial for Switch Online members right now. So definitely pick that up and give that a shot for a few days because it's free. And that game is surprisingly stacked with content. It's great music, and I love the Crypto Necrodancer stuff. So Cadence of Hyrule is pretty good.
So I'm at 10 hours.
Oh, okay, all right. So you're real early in the game. Holy cow! Did you jump off the thing already?
I'm fucking rushing it.
Yeah, you are.
I've got all three pieces of the tablet.
Nice
already.
Are you on a guide using a guide at all, or
no?
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is exactly the reason why I'm never going to beat it before Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I have not. Okay. That's that and Majora's Mask are the two Zelda games that I have not.
So I have Majora's Mask 3D, of which I think I got about 75% through it, but I haven't turned on my 3DS in about 4 years. So
yeah,
it's I turned mine on about 4 years since I played it.
I turn it on every time I turned it on at PAX so I can get those street passes, and that was it. But I got to get back to that game. I know. I mean, I could play it on the Switch, but the 3DS version is actually pretty good. They did some nice advancements.
It's all right.
Okay, cool. So Skyward Sword getting ready for the Zelda.
Yeah, maybe it's just to put me in the mood, which is fine. Even if the only thing that it accomplishes is that it puts me in the mood, and that's okay. I'll finish it eventually. It is at the end of the day a lot of the same Zelda goodness that I'm looking for out of it. So. I'm getting what I want.
I may hop into Link to the Past. I consider Breath of the Wild, to me, Breath of the Wild is the greatest. It has now become the greatest game ever made because of what it accomplishes.
An interesting wrong take, but I appreciate your opinion.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. Mad 95.
Yeah, I listen. I was going to say 2003, but that's okay.
Thomas. No, but Link to the Past is the one that holds the most location in my heart, So Tony was talking about he grew up with GameCube, Game Boy. Link to the Past is what is in my heart because there are so many of my childhood memories tied to my middle school memories tied to Link to the Past. Which for you, Taylor, Link to the Past, I think you weren't born yet, but it was a game on the Super NES. I'm just kidding. And
way older than you think I am.
Yeah, and so it was something that I freaking loved, and I can blast through that game pretty quickly, but still, that was the first game I 100%ed before you could 100% games. I found everything in Link to the Past, and I made it my mission every time I played. I dug holes in every spot,
in every spot
on the map. Just to find every little item. So,
yeah.
Tony was saying.
I mean, that was my game for that was Super Mario Brothers 3 for me.
Okay.
So
Mario Brothers is a great game. But yeah, so I'll be playing.
Some say the best.
Some say the best. I'll play Link to the Past this weekend as well. Maybe that'll get me into the Zelda mood. And I think next week we'll probably talk a bit more Zelda because Zach will be back and he's all excited.
Yeah, once it warms up. And the old CRT room gets warm enough to enter again. I was the last game I was working on when I was out there was dude. It's so cold.
I know.
Was the original Zelda, Legend of Zelda. So
you mentioned that,
yeah. So that's what I was working on before it got too cold, and so that'll be part of it. I don't think I have any of the pieces of the Triforce yet.
Okay.
That game is something.
Breath of the Wild is there.
It's crazy that the original Legend of Zelda exists. Actually.
That it did what it did way back then
with the NES when it did in the year that it did. It's actually insane.
It's stupidly commended because you come from Super Mario Brothers to that, and it's just like, whoa, Kid Icarus became this. That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what those are. So what have you been playing?
That's it. I told you, Doom Eternal and
that's it. That's right. Yeah, yours was so fast.
I am playing. I'm playing a little bit of Gun Jam for review, and the review embargo's up, but I haven't played enough to formulate an opinion yet. I'll talk about that next week. And I know
what's Gun Jam.
It is a. Wait till next week. I'll talk about it next week. It's just kind of cool little FPS-ish, very colorful game. I'll talk about it next week. I don't want to get started. And then JJ's got Mia and the something Dragon that he's working on.
Classic Dragon.
Classic Dragon. And that review goes up. I think the embargo goes up tomorrow, and so he'll be, going from that. So he says, first things first, buy a Nintendo Switch. Yeah, you can get one and you can get all those classic games with the Switch Online stuff, man.
Yeah, and Switches are becoming exceedingly affordable.
Yeah, like you can hop on Woot, dude.
Yeah, especially Woot has been doing sales for refurbs. If you want to save even money, don't get an OLED. Get the original model.
Dude, you can get a refurbed Switch on Nintendo's website for like $250.
Yeah, and obviously, your mileage is going to vary, but Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, the classic locals are going to have lots of
go refurbed. Deals. I would go refurbed anyway.
I would personally also go refurbed. You're going to get certified stuff and a pretty good deal. So.
And they'll last you until you can afford whenever the next Switch is announced. Who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah. But GameStop will happily take your hardware for a hefty sum. Yeah.
Well, Taylor, we went more than a half hour. I'm tired.
We did. Tired. I'm sorry.
We did good. I'm sorry. We had a good conversation.
We were talking business shop, and I couldn't stop.
That's true. It's always the funnest conversations because we get into like, if we ran an actual game company, they would go under.
That's fine.
We would go under, but we'd have a whiteboard with just notes all over the place. It'd be a blast. All right. With that said, you can find us at sidequesting.com. Hop into the Discord there. We're having a lot of fun chat. We're getting ready for Zelda and for a bunch of other games in the summer. Taylor has got to start replying to me about my onion weed problem that I have.
Let him grow, buddy. Listen, that's somebody's meal right there. Stop taking it away.
Stop taking it away. If you saw my lawn, you would understand. But you hop into the Discord. You can follow us at SideQuesting over on a bunch of the socials. SideQuesting TV on Twitch and YouTube. Again, sidequesting.com. Us individually, you see our tags at Dolly Domovsky, at Taylor Bliss, and fucking Greg. Enough about video games. Listen, Boston is out, and that's a win for America whenever a Boston team is booted out of the playoffs and anything. So, Greg, enjoy that. That's what we hooked you up. I mean, I didn't do it.
Oh, damn, the Devils got crushed.
Did they really? I'm actually kind of rooting for the Devils and the Leafs this year.
Listen, I'm a Jersey boy, so I'd be happy to see Devils win.
America, hell, fuck yeah.
But yeah, the Hurricane beat them 5-1. Yikes!
Ooh, man, Carolina's one of those teams that they're always like just under the waterline, but then they pop up and win it all. Like every 5 years, they out of nowhere they'll win the Stanley Cup. Like who are these players? They're like the Florida Marlins in baseball. That's it. You just find us SideQuesting. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you everybody for joining us. See ya. We love you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Peace. Bye.